Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I think it's just the two of us again, just the two of us. Okay, let me find. And any questions? I'm getting ready to mark you in. I know you present today, correct?
Yes. I do.
Okay, very good. Let me mark. I know. Okay. Let me go in here and share my screen. Come on. Okay, here we go. Go here. And here. And you submitted it, correct?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Yep. So let me go find it and bring it up. I go to assignments. I go to the article. Yep, very good. And I should be able to find it right here. And here we go. Yes, very good. You posted your PowerPoint. Very good. You're written, and you have a performance management employee outcome. It must be something that you want to show us later.
Yes, that is the article.
Very good. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I had to like resubmit it like 3 times because I kept forgetting to put the article in.
Yes.
But
And this is for Katori to see, and of course this is being taped for others to view later on. This is exactly how you upload and submit your article information. You submitted your PowerPoint, which you're going to present now. You submitted your written report, and you submitted the actual article. Excellent job. What I'm going to do now is I'm already on the PowerPoint. Yes. And I am going to, I can do this. I can just make it large and just scroll and let you do your presentation. Okay?
Okay.
All
Awesome.
right.
Alrighty, so my article was titled Performance Management and Employee Outcomes, What Performance Management Processes Drive Improvement of Employee Performance. And it was written by 2 students of Cornell University. And I think the article does a really good job of showing how modern management methods have combined and expanded on aspects of both the human relations theory in creating like a more inclusive environment for workers, as well as the management science / operations research theory.
Good.
So in one of our first classes together, actually, we discussed the importance of being an employee with self-motivation. And we also talked about how important it is for an employer to create an environment that encourages employees and makes them want to exhibit their best effort every day. So within that time frame, I found this article and I thought it was good to look into. So for my intro, what is performance management? So it's the process of creating a workplace environment that fosters growth in employees individually and as a team. So basically what I just said, we know employees have a responsibility to keep yourselves motivated in the workplace. Self-motivation is a necessary part of being in and succeeding in the workforce. However, employers must also try to create an environment that keeps employees engaged in their work. And without that balance of internal and external forces of motivation, employees just lose interest. And that's the last thing that employers want, is employees that lack motivation and dread coming into work every single day. So, they started focusing on 3 main categories, and these areas are employee evaluation, goal setting, and feedback. And the big theme here is communication amongst everyone in the workplace. That's what the big focus is. It's about the many different aspects of the workplace and the people working in it, and it benefits everyone at all levels. So let's see, yep, there we go. So employee evaluation is the first area that they focus on. And the big thing is there's a shift in focus now. So the workplace is centered around the team, and evaluation reflects the team results. So it's no longer individual versus individual. It's more about, what is the team accomplishing together? How are you playing a role in the team? And how are you contributing towards that team effort, towards those results that we're seeing? So it really promotes the employees working together towards a common goal versus working just for yourselves or just so you can get that promotion. It's about what the organization needs as a whole. So they're trying to focus on a less competitive, more cohesive work environment. But obviously individuals now have to work harder for recognition. So there's still going to be that healthy competition going around. So the next thing was more frequent evaluations. So in the past, it's pretty common practice to have just 1 evaluation a year. And this really was not working out. So thankfully, they're doing more biannual or quarterly based evaluations, if not more frequent. So employees now don't feel so crunched for time to make changes if their work isn't up to par. Because a lot of the times they weren't being given proper time to really make these big changes, and then they'd end up getting fired and losing employment. So employers are now really focusing on working with employees to develop a plan for improvements, and employees feel more comfortable checking in regularly and monitoring their progress and seeing that they're on the right path. All right, so then I just wanted to talk a little bit about my own personal experience with employee evaluations. So I worked with Cincinnati Ballet for 2 years, and we had 1 evaluation per year, and it really was not good. Because our employer is known as the artistic director, and they weren't present in the studio in our day-to-day work environment. So like we'd be rehearsing all day and they were never there. They would come to performances, some, not all, and they would judge us based off that. So a lot of the times we'd have superiors above us but below them that were telling us, you're doing a great job. And day to day you'd be told, you're doing well, things are good, you're cast well, but then the artistic director is not happy with you. So you'd get this 1 meeting a year, and it'd be about a month and a half before our annual contracts were distributed, which was basically you're rehired for another year, or you need to find work elsewhere, you're basically fired. And it was very limited time, because this would be like a month to make these huge changes that you weren't aware of. So we would feel like very uncomfortable. So, and there was always a stigma around meeting with our boss, our employer, our artistic director. It was very uncomfortable to have a meeting with her. And I wish we would have had more frequent meetings, because a lot of the issues that we faced could have been resolved. But that's interesting dance world stuff. So the next big area of focus is setting goals. And the big thing here is saying your goals out loud and communicating them verbally with your manager and your peers. So the thing is, obviously, if you're telling your boss, like, these are my goals, this is what I want to focus on, you're going to be more inclined to do it. But then if you're also telling your peers, the people you see and work with every day, these are my goals, this is what I'm working towards, you are much more likely to hold yourself accountable for those goals. The likelihood of success is greater when you say your goals out loud, and that's been proven, which is really interesting. So now the workplace doesn't really become boring, keeps things more interesting, because employees always have goals they're working towards, and they're always encouraged to make not just workplace, but individual goals, not just this is what our team needs to accomplish, but also individually. So employees are really multitasking and showing that they're more than one-dimensional, which is really great. Alrighty. So this is what I found interesting. This method is called the objective and key results method, and a lot of different companies use this, but Google is obviously a big one that we all know about. So it really encourages employees to set uncomfortable, really challenging goals. And they use a scale of 0 to 1 to measure this. So some companies use a yes or no, which yes is like pass and no is like you failed. But basically a 0 to a 0.3 is you failed, but you made some progress. A 0.3 to, or no, it's a 0.4 to a 0.6 is you made progress, but you fell a little bit short. And a 0.7 to a 1.0 is you delivered, everything's great. And there's two different types of goals that you can set. There's committed and aspirational. So committed are things that like you absolutely have to get done in the workplace. It's like, okay, I have to give a presentation by this date, or I need to have this done by here. Like those are things you have to accomplish. You need to get a 0.7 to a 1.0. But aspirational goals are things that you also need to set, but they're more stretch goals. So if you keep reaching those stretch goals, you're not setting your goals high enough, is the whole theory behind that. So it's just to keep people working to their highest potential. All right, so feedback is another area we focused on. So there's more individualized approach now. You know, as you're meeting more frequently with employees, you get to know everybody a little bit better and you can make them feel more comfortable for sure. And there's also this big careful attention to how things are said and how they're being received, both on employer end and employee end. So the employer really wants to focus on employees' development, areas of strength and weaknesses, obviously, but they want to say things in a way that are motivational. Obviously, you're going to have to point out negatives, but try not to focus on the negatives. Instead, focusing on developing plans for improvement. And for employees, they need to make sure that they're responsive of the feedback and they're not kind of, you know, discouraged or making grumpy faces, because that kind of will just completely change the relationship between employer and employee if you're unwilling to make adjustments or changes. You know, we want employees to feel like their employers want them to succeed in the workplace. So that's a big part of this new approach.
Okay.
All right. The other thing with feedback is that it's now from multiple sources. So you're not getting everything just from your manager or just from this employer. You're getting it also from frequent reviews by your peers, as well as employees reflecting on their own performance. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, potentially could create hostility if negative reviews accumulate from your peers and coworkers, but it can also serve as motivation if employees are falling behind to like get on track because their other employees are kind of giving them issues. But employees can also send encouraging messages to one another, which can strengthen the team and bring the workers closer together. So Facebook, they use biannual reviews, but they act as checkpoints, and they use these peer reviews to help track the employee performance, which is interesting. I mean, obviously these peer reviews don't determine like if your employment status. They don't say, oh, you're employed, you're fired, but employers are really going to use it and say, okay, you're working with your team, right? It's all about this team aspect. So if your team is saying you're falling short, what's the problem? And you need to be able to provide reasons as to what's going wrong. Because if you have a group of 7 people and 5 of those people have made comments that your work is not up to par, they're not submitting things by deadlines, clearly that the employer is like, something is wrong here.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of that. And then we just have conclusions. So the big focus is on change, and it's all about the modern management theory, really focusing more on individual needs and wants. Because when you focus and prioritize the people at every level of the company, the organization as a whole will flourish. You know, they also adapt to technology now. A lot of things are done online. So there are more frequent face-to-face meetings, but there's also a lot of online technology that is utilized messages, convenient, quick ways to be like, you're on the right track, you're doing great, or hey, you need to step it up a little bit. And really the focus is employers are going to work with their employees to map out the future of employees with the company, set those goals so that they can have a long-lasting future with the company. But yeah, the focus is on positives, and employees feel like their employers want them to succeed. And that's the big thing here. And they're supported in every step of the process. So that's that.
That was, boys, the bar set high here. Yes. I watched Katori's face. Katori was zeroed right in. Very interesting. I can't, compliment you enough. Beautiful PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Just a selection of color, and I like the green is my favorite color. Yeah, and more green has turned out to be my favorite color. But the graphics, boy, all of that is part of our understanding and relating to the information. So every time you went to a different slide, all of the pictures, really related to what you were saying. We looked at the graphics, but the graphics definitely did not distract us from what you were sharing. Very, very good topic. Your topic is from chapter 15. So we're going into chapter 14 on leadership. And there was a little leadership information, that effective communication. Yes. There was some leadership chapter information. You heard the word motivation really continuously throughout Amanda's presentation. So not only chapter 15, a lot of chapter 14 on leadership, effective communication, participation. All the key terms that we have already used and we will start using more and more in food service management. Definitely modern management, as Amanda said, pure modern management. Yeah, there was definitely some human, resource information in there, that participation. We can't forget structure. And yes, she talked about the people that were higher management and how they were the ones predominantly, performing the evaluations, but they weren't getting feedback from other people, from your lower management, the people that worked with you on a day-to-day basis. You covered so many areas that we have discussed and will be discussing as we move on. If there's anyone who hasn't found an article yet, you see what type of topic you want to choose. And the article wasn't about food service management, but we can relate and use all of this information in food service management. Amanda showed how it can be used if you're a member of a company and you have to be performing at a certain level. And again, I don't care who you work for, your job can be either short-term or long-term. Let's just put it that way. And it's really based on your performance evaluation. And it should be, but it should be done a way that it is showing the whole picture and not just one narrow area that one or two people decide they want to look at. I love the consistent daily evaluating. There's a term that's going to come up in chapter 15, and I think it's called employee rounding, and how you meet with every employee on a regular basis. It could be 15 minutes a week, because all managers, directors are busy, but we have 15 minutes, at least one day out of the week, to meet with one of your employees and talk about the positive. If there are some areas of improvement, that can be discussed along with your progress. It's all about a regular feedback system. And once a year, it's very intimidating. I don't care where you work for, that once a year doesn't work. Because number one, you say, oh my gosh, my whole life is hinging on this one evaluation and I've got to nail it. But this evaluation is going to go on in my personnel file. And how frightening that is.
Oh yeah, I was absolutely terrified for my yearly evaluation.
Yeah.
Terrified, like unable to like speak. I'd just be like sitting there and they'd just be talking.
It occurs in just about every place of work. Trust me. It could be in academia, where you're a professor. Okay, say you're a student in a course, and I've heard it from time to time. There's one test that's 75% of your grade. Is that scary? Think about it. 75% of your grade is based on this one test. I don't believe in that. If you see every one of my syllabi and our courses in our program, or I would say virtually all your programs, there's a certain percentage in multiple areas. And you can compare it to that. You want to see a bigger picture. You don't want to zero in on just one factor. Not every student tests well. Yeah. So if you have 100%, I feel no more than 55% at the max should be your test. The reason why I say that is when I meet with a student and they're concerned about their grade, I said, okay, let's look at 50% of your grade is on tests. I said, worst case scenario, you average a 60 on your tests. You have another 50% that you can really score higher on. You have your project that's worth, I don't know, 20% of your grade. And then you have, participation, and you have this assignment and that assignment. And I say, let's work on getting the highest grade you can get in that other 50%. May it be your project, no matter what it is. Students generally relax and say, it's not all based on my tests. I said, now you want to get your test average up as high as you can get it. But let's say you get a 95 on that other 50% of your grade. 95 plus 60, add that together and divide it by 2. What do you get? Yeah, just think about it. Oh, Amanda's doing that. 95 plus 60 divided by 2.
You'll get a 77.5.
All right, that will be a C.
I mean, that's better.
That's better than failing. Okay? Yeah. But a lot of times I tell students, let's get 100. Let's get 100. Now you got a 95 in that area, but you can see your testing is a 60. It's failing. But that other 95 brought you to passing. But again, that's how we need to look at our job performance or anything and how it's being evaluated. Excellent presentation. I can't say enough. Good job. So I've shown everyone how you should be submitting your three what would I say, 3 different materials: your PowerPoint, your article itself, and your written report. So I'll be grading the written portion. I take your PowerPoint, your written summary of your article, and I look at your article to make sure it was inclusive, that you didn't miss out some really important information that you could have shared doing your overall presentation. Beautiful job, beautiful. Now, from here, I would like to go to, yes, I want to go back to home. And let's look at our course outline. And today, oh boy, here we are. And today, I don't have it there, but there was that article presentation. I'm going into diversity, but I do want to go over the correct answers to your FTEs, correct? You did your FTEs, and everybody, even those who aren't present during our Zoom meeting, we're going to go over your FTE answers. And was there an area to submit your FTE assignment? I don't think so. No, but that's okay. That's okay. It's what we say, an honor, or I just have to take your word for it that you actually completed the assignment. So this is your FTE worksheet that you were to print out. All right, so everyone was to print this out and work out all your problems and circle your correct answer, okay? So I'm just gonna show you the correct answer. I'm gonna go there. And this is the same questions with the correct answer. So yes, I see that Amanda and Katori, they're taking out their sheet. They're looking at their math work and they're grading. I see them grading. In the meantime, let's quickly look at this first one. This one's on productivity. FTEs compared to work output, how many patients per FTE, dietary aids. We have 5 8-hour shifts. We have 2 4-hour shifts. And I totaled the hours times 7. And we calculated the FTEs. So the FTEs were given to you. And it says 100 patients times 7 days equal 2,100 patient days. So we go back and it's asking how many patients per FTE. So how did we get 250? And I'm going to ask Amanda, like students say, oh, all right, how did we get 250? Okay.
So you divided 2,100 patient days divided by 8.4 FTEs to get.
Very good. So you take your total patient days and you take your FTEs and divide it into your patient days. 2,100 divided by 8.4, 250. Okay? Any questions? Your department's total labor hours as reported for payroll for March were 10,800. What is the FTE? So I'm going to go to Katori and tell us how we got 62.3 FTEs.
So I took the 10,800 hours and divided it by 173.33 monthly hours.
Very good. So it's monthly. To calculate your monthly FTEs, you're going to use 173.33. Can't remember that number, you take 2080, that's your annual, divided by 12 to get your monthly. So you use the 173.33 and you divide it into your total monthly hours to get your monthly FTEs. All right, let's look at 3. You know you have daily staffing uses of 15 people working 8 hours plus 4 persons working 3 hours. You use some full-time, some part-time employees each day to achieve this. What are your FTEs? Now, we laid it out for you. We took what was in this word problem, and we're calculating 15 times 8 hours a day. These are our full-timers. And then we have 4 individuals working 3 hours a day. And you total your hours up. Okay, Amanda, once you have your total hours, it's asking for what are your FTEs. How did you get 16.5?
So I took the 132 people hours and divided by 8. So.
Very good, because we're looking for daily FTEs. To calculate daily FTEs, you take your daily hours divided by 8 to get your daily FTEs. Good job. Number 4, your department's total labor hours as reported to payroll for January to December 2017 were 20,804. You see, this is annually. So to calculate your annual FTEs, you divide your total annual hours by what number, Katori?
2,080.
Very good. Divided by 2,080. So 20,804 divided by 2080, you get 10 FTEs. Number 5, your department's total labor hours as reported to payroll for May were 18,910. This is going back to monthly again. So Amanda, as a repeat, how did we get the 109.9 FTEs?
So I did 18,910 divided by 173.33.
There we go. And that's calculating monthly FTEs. Now we have another example. You know your daily staffing uses are 12 people working 8 hours plus 2 people working 4 hours. You use some full-time, some part-time employees each day to achieve this. What are your FTEs? So as before, you've got to get your total people hours. And going back to Katori, it's asking for what are your FTEs. And we're looking for daily FTEs, aren't we? Yeah. So some people say, oh, we're asking for weekly, daily, annually. Yeah, you look for key words. It's daily. So therefore, you take your 104 divided by what?
So for these problems, I got the correct answer. I just did them a little bit differently. I
Okay.
didn't divide by, what is it, 7 that you divide by? Or I don't know. For some reason,
So 104, let's see. Let me take out my calculator and see. I want to. Now, when I take the 104 and divide by 7, I get a 14.8.
mhm.
So you were probably taking the
I
close.
would take it like I did, since like 8 hours of the full day shift. I had 12 people working 8 hours, and then 2 people working 4 hours. I just combined that to 1 FTE and then added the 12 to the 1. So 12 FTEs plus 1 FTE equals 13 FTEs.
Wow, that's another way, but it's more steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we're saying the easiest way is to take your 104 divided by 8, and you're right there.
Okay. Yeah.
See
That is
it?
a lot
Yeah,
easier.
yeah. Okay. Wow. You know, I love math because you can process math different ways. And Katori processed this a different way. But we see how she processed it took more steps. So I want to save her time, and sometimes the way you're doing may not always work because they may not be whole numbers. I don't know. Sometimes we see a flaw in that process. I would have to do that and say, does it give me the correct answer every time? Okay. Does it do it every time? We know that if you divide by 8, you'll get the correct answer every time. Okay. Good. Thank you for sharing, by the way. I like when students do that. Okay. I really do. 7, you have 28 full-time employees, each working 40 hours, 8 part-time, working 20 hours per week. How many hours per day are these employees working? Okay. The answer is 182.86. I'm going back to Amanda. Talk us through this.
All right, yeah, because I did this in quite a few parts. So you
Okay.
have 28 people working 40 hours a week, so you do 28 times 40, and you get 1,120 hours per week, and then you divide that by 7 to get 160 hours per week. And then 8 people working 20 hours a week, 8 times 20 is 160. 160 divided by 7 equals 22.86 hours per week. And then I did 120 plus 22.86 to get 182.86.
And there's another way of doing it.
There's another way of doing this.
I love that. I was following you.
Okay,
You can also take 28 times 40, 8 times 20, add it together, divide it by 7. What do you get?
Like, I don't know if I did it wrong. I think I got like
Divided by 7.
205.71.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I got 182.85 and I rounded to 6. So it's 28 times 40, you get 1,120. 8 times the 20, you get 160. Divided by 7. It may be, I think it's quicker than your way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
but you got the correct answer. That's the important thing. Like Katori got the correct answer with one of the previous, the one before that. But again, just showing you, important thing is getting the correct answer, but sometimes you're going to save time too. Very good. Good job. You have, all right, this is the same problem, but now we want to know what the daily FTEs are. So if your daily if your total daily FTEs are 182.86, what is your daily FTEs? And this is Katori.
This one I just divided by 8. I took the previous answer.
That's right. So you take the 182.86 and you divide 8 into that to get your daily FTE of 22.86. Okay, any questions about that? Number 9, your facility employs one full-time dietary manager. That's yourself. You work 40 hours per week. Management hours equal 40 hours divided by 7. And we have 5.7 hours per day. So that's how many days that the manager works. If or how many hours per day. Okay. If your labor budget is 86 hours per day, then the figure you need is how many hours per day. Remember, we want to, all right, I won't say anymore. I'm going to Katori. What would be your labor, if your labor budget is 86 hours, then the figure you need is how many hours per day?
To get my answer, I just did the 86 and then subtract the 5.7 from 86.
Exactly. So these are your, this is your labor budget, but you don't want to include your manager, your hours. So you're simply subtracting 5.7 from 86 and you get 80.3. Okay, good job. And number 10, staffing needs for an increased caseload, 1,500 to 1,675. How many additional FTEs are needed? And I'm going back to Amanda on this. How did we get 0.4 FTEs?
So I took the 175 new clients and divided it by the 428.57 clients per FTE.
Yes, very good. So what you're doing is you're looking for a, it's really a percentage. So you're dividing the that big number into the little number. 175 divided by 428.57, and you get that additional 0.4. Okay, additional 0.4, and 0.4 is almost a half of FTE. So that's how many additional FTEs you need to cover that increase in load. Okay, all right. Good job, good job. And I hope everyone else completed the worksheet. And again, good job, Amanda and Katori. Good job. Let's go back to the workforce because I want to start diversity. And this will take us into our leadership chapter, which will keep us pretty much on track. So I'm going back to workforce. And we're going all the way down until I get to diversity. So we covered all this. Again, we have a test coming up. And we're going to look at our timeline. I think I'm supposed to post the test next week. But let me, I'll go back and check. I don't have a photographic memory. I have to always go back. That's why we write things down. We covered all of this. And these PowerPoints are here for you to go back, review, practice. And again, I stop by going over the do's and don'ts when it comes to adjusting your labor. So this is important because again, our census goes up and down, and if something remains low over an extended period of time, we've got to make sure that you're not keeping the same FTEs and not utilizing those hours properly. And therefore you need to assign extra jobs. Okay, you don't want to change work hours, so now you're not giving your staff enough time to complete their work. So you want to, change the ending of their shift, the ending of your morning shift. Let them go home a little early, but bring your afternoon shift in a little later. So your AM is going to leave a little early. Your PM shift will come in a little later. So you don't want to bring your AM in later in the morning because they're not going to have time to finish their breakfast. And then you don't want your PM shift to leave earlier because they've got to finish their work. Okay, they've got to clean up. So you've got to think smart here. And again, the best thing also is to assign additional tasks of things that really need to be accomplished in your department. So let's talk about diversity. This is taking us into chapter 14 on leadership. And diversity is a big buzzword now. It's been becoming more and more important, I would say, within the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. But now it's just so important that every organization is able to embrace diversity. And diversity in the workplace can be referred to ethnicity, okay? It can be different racial groups. It could be gender. It can be age and other differences among workers. So we have so many differences throughout this country. And again, We are a country made up of so many different diversities. And what I like for people to close your eyes and imagine if we all look the same. Imagine that. If we all look the same. How do you feel about that, Amanda?
Oh, that would be really weird.
That number one, it would be weird. What else would it be?
I mean, I feel like just people wouldn't be very unique. I mean, there's
No.
nothing special about anybody.
My God, we're all the same. We're all the same ethnicity. We're all the same racial background. We're all the same gender. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? We're all the same age. And we have no other differences. We none of us have handicaps. None of us wore glasses. None of us wore braces. I What are your thoughts, Katori?
That sounds just like dystopian. Like
Yes,
it doesn't seem right.
it doesn't seem right. Yeah, I also say, oh my gosh, how boring.
Mm-hmm.
No
Very
interest. I guess we would all agree with each other. I know we will walk around like almost like zombies, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're all thinking the same. Oh my gosh. So if we just come back to reality, boy, do we want to embrace our differences. Yeah. We want to enjoy diversity. And you learn from different people, all the different types of food. That's my area of expertise, and I just love different cuisines. Even at home, I get tired of fixing the same thing over and over again. And my husband, every once in a while, he says, "Oh, that was good. I don't remember having that before." Maybe I've come up with just a different recipe that may have more of a I don't know Mexican flair to it, or maybe maybe it was a Thai recipe, or using different spices. All of this, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Diversity. I have two definitions that refer to diversity, and I just find that these two definitions are they have they're referring to diversity, but they mean totally two different things. And we have organizations that are using this definition: culturally diverse organization, an organization that has a workforce representative of many different cultural groups. And that's where a lot of organizations leave it. They say, oh, we have a diverse number of males and females. We have workers from different racial and cultural backgrounds. Oh, we have different ages. I mean, they checked off all the boxes. This is more of a check box here. But listen to multicultural organization, an organization that values, encourages, and affirms diverse cultural modes in which each point of view is valid and different cultures contribute to the decision making. So there's two different things. Yes, you can have an organization that's culturally diverse, but multicultural means that everyone is inclusive. Everyone is valued, everyone is encouraged. You affirm diverse cultural modes, meaning you affirm, you embrace, you recognize that people are different. And because of that, you have to bring that value out, the value of having these differences. You have to encourage differences, and you have to affirm diverse cultural modes. And everybody needs to be included in the decision making. That means you hold meetings, you have everyone that takes a part in that meeting. You again, you ask everyone, you get feedback from everyone. That's using one of Amanda's terms that she used in her presentation. Yeah, meeting. Let's go back to the article presentation where you can evaluate someone on a regular basis. Bring everyone in your office. I mentioned the employee rounding, that term that it's going to come up in chapter 15. You invite everyone in your office and you rotate among your staff. Just 15 minutes. They come in on a regular basis and you discuss their work. You can have key questions that you ask. How are things going? With your job. Do you have any questions or concerns? Just come up. You want their feedback, so come up with a question that you ask them, and therefore you listen. And you want to make sure that their concerns, or do you have any suggestions? What are suggestions that you have to make your job better, to make your job easier? I'm sure that you're going to get a lot of different ideas. Yeah, ideas that you never thought of, because it's based on their experiences. Yeah, and things that they have tried or used, and you say, wow, that's new. You know what I love about life in general? You're always learning. Always learning. I don't think there's a day that goes past that I did not realize 1, 2, 3, 4 new things that I never knew before. Maybe I never recognized before, but definitely new information. So we're always learning new things. And again, you can learn so much from people who are different. Because if it's just you're just thinking the same old same all the time, and you're not learning from others. Again, yeah, and you learn from others. So I want you to see the difference between these two terms and how important it is that we follow the multicultural organization, meaning that all of those cultural differences are going to have a positive impact on your organization. Just having them working there is not going to have the impact if we don't value, encourage, and affirm those diversity modes. Now, when it comes to diversity in a workplace, I was saying that over the years, it has become more and more important that we educate our employees about diversity. We don't only educate our employees about their job training and sending them to workshops to learn about their jobs. We also want to make sure that we are training them to be able to work within our organization. And to be able to work within our organization, we have to follow certain legislative initiatives. And therefore, when we get into chapter 15, when we talk about hiring, yes, when we hire, we want to make sure that we are hiring and making sure that we are giving everyone an opportunity, males, females, different ages, different cultures, ethnic backgrounds, to apply for that job. Because we're looking for someone that meets those specifications and that can, do the job, okay? And we're looking for that best candidate, but we need to be able to have a pool of a diverse population so that we can choose again and give everyone that opportunity. So when it comes to gender and age, these links, the last time I checked, actually work. So if you click on that, yeah, it sends us to the US Department of Labor, okay? And we can get some statistical information that's constantly changing. Look, they have Women's History Month. This is just showing that diversity that I was referring to. Learn how to file for unemployment insurance. So, there's just different information. Look, Fair Labor Standard Acts, workplace posters, so all of these links can keep us up to date on, workforce, and we can also look at all the other news items. So I want to go out of that. I hope it doesn't kick me out. Nope, I'm back. But each one of these links work. Look at that. Yeah. So again, just some good information, different demographics, business costs. So yeah, these links work. All right. From here, differences in physical ability. So yeah, oh my gosh, this has really come a long way. I can go back where you didn't see as many people that had disabilities in the workplace. Now you can see individuals that are wheelchair bound. You see people that are visually impaired, auditory. We can go on and on. And years ago, again, number one, a lot of these people didn't even think that they could work in the workplace. But now there's training programs in the educational area. Again, everyone's given that opportunity to receive the education and the training. Again, this site also works. There's a lot of information, again, on disabilities, so we cannot discriminate, and we can learn from people that have different disabilities. We really, really can learn. And in this area, there's a federal law that enables people with different physical abilities to enter the mainstream in school from K through 12, mainstream after getting their high school diploma. There's so many community colleges. We have a lot of students with disabilities. We have disability services. We have, accessibility in our lavatories, parking, you name it. Buildings need to have handicap accessibility. So again, people are different, and those differences need to be accommodated. They should not be going anywhere and their hands are tied because they can't get to the second floor, or they can't use certain devices. They can't get to the computers like other people can. I love movie theaters where they have empty places where someone in a wheelchair can just pull up, and they're not put out in the aisle where people are trying to get back and forth. There's actually a place for them to, place their wheelchair. These are the type of accommodations that we need to make sure that people are not left out, and that they just feel that nobody thought about their needs. Not everybody can reach that shelf. Let's have a stool or something so that they can, get what they want off the shelf. So all of those are accommodations. Then we have the equal opportunity affirmative action. Now, when it comes to equal opportunity, we're definitely going to visit this again in chapter 15, a federal law that prohibits discrimination against certain groups, such as women or minorities in the workplace. And again, this link is hot. I'll close that. Okay. And there's a lot of information again. So, just information is available so that we can make sure that in the workplace, we are not discriminating. Very, very important. And yes, these websites can help. Your human resources department can definitely help to make sure that when you're hiring, that search goes, can reach different demographical areas. Because we know that just here in New Jersey, we know that certain counties, certain towns, we can break down our different areas, and we know that we have more of a diverse population living here versus another. So you want to make sure that you're covering all of your areas. And again, this is the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. That's also, again, hot area you can go in. Affirmative action. It's still a federal law that requires giving hiring preferences to previous disenfranchised workers. What workplaces have to do is look at their process. Is your process inclusive? Whatever you're doing, is it available? Is it accessible to everyone that qualifies for that position, for that job? If you're doing that, then affirmative action, it's there, in case it needs to be enforced. But if every workplace is making sure that they're getting in that diverse population, and again, they're valuing, they're allowing the participation, then affirmative action is something that should not be threatening. It's there in case certain laws are violated. That's basically why it's there. Diversity in the workplace, again, it benefits, is very, very beneficial. Larger worker pool with diverse experiences increases diversity of customers. So whoever your customer it may be, it could be in the food service industry, you know, you're going to bring in more customers if they see that your wait staff just has a very diverse, you know, of males and females, different ages, different culture, racial backgrounds, all of that really, and it's good for business if you think about it, isn't it? Yeah, the more diverse you are, you're going to be able to bring in more customers because again, it just is a good selling point. It makes people feel welcome. It makes people feel comfortable. When it comes to the food service industry, how about making sure that you have items on the menu that are diverse and you can learn from your employees how to get certain items on the menu that's going to meet the needs of your customers. I can just see so many benefits from having that diverse workforce. Creates beneficial environment for workers. Again, we just got finished with imagining that if we were all the same, you know, where we're not learning, you know, there's no, nothing different. Same old, same old. If you're making mistakes, guess what? You're going to keep making the same what? Mistake over and over again. Increased ability to satisfy a diverse customer, and I included that, why you should increase diversity of your customers. We're hearing this term more and more. I've been teaching for a long, long time, and I'm close to 30 years teaching. And xenophobia, I remember I had to actually look that word up because we didn't hear it that much. Now a lot of people know what xenophobia is. We hear it in the news. We just hear people. I think it used to be like a bad word, a word that people didn't want to admit existed. But xenophobia is that fear of those that are different. And when you have a fear, and when we are not embracing people that are different, a lot of it is based on fear. It's based on the unknown. Once you meet someone, you work with them, you listen to them, you start laughing and talking and sharing common interests. You know, it takes away that unknown and it takes away fears. We fear the unknown in many, many cases. We fear the unknown. It's based on prior experiences. It's based on what we heard, maybe what we read in a book or we seen on television. And we're not basing it on a day-to-day exposure. So the more you're exposed, you're no longer lacking the knowledge. So once you understand, those fears go away. And we have to remember that we don't have to agree. I like to always talk about, no, we weren't put on this earth to agree with everyone, but it's our responsibilities to listen, sit back, and get an understanding. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, you understand. And you understand by listening, observing, you understand by doing. That means coming in contact, engaging, and actually working with different people. And then you have that understanding of why someone's different. Yeah. And again, you don't agree with everything. Somebody brought something up about eating something. I forget what it was. My mother-in-law, I went to see her on a Sunday. She said something about another culture. Oh, eating bats. Yeah, thank you. I just saw Amanda's face. Yeah, she was saying that there was a certain culture that they eat bats, and I went like this. Now, I have a fear because I'm not understanding why they eat bats, okay? But the bottom line is that I don't agree with eating bats, but understanding that that's what they eat and maybe why they eat it. I also say you leave it alone, okay? Yeah, it's not up to us to judge and to change someone's mind or anything of that nature. But again, just yeah, people have their differences, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it. I just can't imagine eating a bat. You know, I know. It almost makes us what? Do a little gag here. I'm going to end on that note next week, and I'm going to quickly, yeah, I basically finished this diversity part, and let me go to my modules, and I want to look real quick to see where we are. Okay, here we are today, diversity and going into leadership. Next week, I'm going to devote the, we also have case study number 2. So make sure you post case study number 2 in Canvas assignments, okay? We're going to go over case study number 2 in class. I'm going to go into the leadership chapter, and I want to cover that leadership chapter, okay? And then from there, I'm going to post test 2 after next week's class, and it's going to be on chapter 14. So it's going to be on leadership. It's going to be on diversity. It's going to be on workforce, FTEs, because I haven't tested on FTEs. So it's going to be on the workforce PowerPoint, including FTE calculations. Diversity will be on there. And I would say most of the leadership chapter. All right. That being said, article presentations, we go here. And if I go here, here we go. Yes, hopefully Tram posted her article presentation. We have Jacqueline, she's still with us. She needs to be posting hers on April 6th, which is next week. We have Hong on the 13th. We have Jay on the 13th, Tram on the 20th, And Contori, you don't post yours until April 27th, and you will present. So again, I'm checking to see if these individuals have submitted their article, just like Amanda did, the written report and PowerPoint. Okay. All right. I think we did a quick review. Any questions? And are running about 5-6 minutes late. Good class. Take care, everyone.
Alrighty, thank you. Have a good
You're
day.
welcome. Thank you for all your participation. I'm working you too hard. Guess what? You learn through attending, and I wish more could attend, but again, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.